Now children, we are going to study about the different kinds of joints present in our body. Now what is a joint? A joint is a place where two bones meet. We can move our body parts from the joints only. We cannot move our body from the center of a big bone or a long bone. It will break. We can only move or show movements from the joints. Joints. So there are basically four kinds of joints present in the human body. The first kind of joint is ball and socket joint. As the name only suggests, there is a kind of socket. One bone ends in a depression-like area which forms the socket. The other bone has a rounded head which serves as a ball. And these joints, this joint is like this. The end of socket of one bone allows the head of another bone to fit into it. This is called a ball and socket joint. This kind of joint is present in the shoulder and hip. So this arm is joined to the shoulder girdle or the pectoral girdle through a ball and socket joint. In the similar way, this limb, the leg is joined to the hip girdle or the pelvic girdle through the ball and socket joint. So this is present at two places in our body, in the shoulders and in the hip. The second kind of joint is hinge joint. Hinge word you must have heard earlier. The doors and windows have hinge. So this is the hinge or the joint, and the door can move only in one direction. It cannot go backward. So this joint is called, suppose this is the wall and this is the door, so it can move only in one direction. This joint is called hinge joint. Okay. So this kind of joint is present in two places. Okay, here. I can move my arm like this. It cannot go backwards. It can open and close only in one direction, like a door or a window. So this kind of joint is called hinge joint. This is present in the elbows and the knees. The third kind of joint is called pivot joint, which is present here. Our skull is joined to the spine through a pivot joint. Okay? It allows movement in 360 degrees. It cannot go backwards, downwards. But here up, it allows movement in 360 degrees. Okay? So this is a pivot joint which is present in the neck region, which joins our skull bone to the spinal cord. And the fourth type of joint is the gliding joints. Gliding joints are present in the phalanges, that is small bones here in the hand, wrist and in the fingers, and similarly in the toes. The small bones, they are present one above the other and they glide over each other. So this kind of joint is called as gliding joint, which is present in hands and feet. And next we come, these are all movable joints. We are studying about the different movements. So all these joints, ball and socket joint, hinge joint, pivot joint and gliding joints are movable joints. The next kind of joints is immovable joints or fixed joints. The fixed joints are present in our skull. Okay? The different bones in the skull are fused together. They are joined together. They cannot move. So they are called fixed joints. Only one joint is movable in our skull, that is the lower jaw. This is the only movable joint which is present in the skull. And this only allows us to speak, to eat, to chew our food. So children, I hope this must be clear to you. You must have understood what are the different kinds of joints present in our body. Children, the bones cannot move on its own. It moves with the help of muscles. Now let us understand the working of muscles. Bend your arm at the elbow. You will feel a swollen region in the upper arm. This is muscle. It has bulged due to its contraction. Similarly, you can feel muscles in your legs. When you move it, muscles contract and get swollen up. It becomes stiffer, shorter and thicker and pulls the bone. And in this way, we can show movement. Muscles work in pairs. When one of them contracts, the bone is pulled in that direction. The other muscle of the pair relaxes during this time. To move the bone in the opposite direction, the muscle which was earlier relaxed contracts to pull the bone towards its original position, while the muscle which was first contracted relaxes now. A muscle can only pull, it cannot push. Thus, two muscles have to work together to move a bone. Here you can see the movement of a leg from the hip joint. Children, the muscle which is shown in green color is the one that is contracting or flexing. It becomes shorter, stiffer and thicker, and the leg moves in that direction. The leg moves in the direction in which the muscle is contracting, while the other muscle at the back, which is the pair, the other muscle of the pair, it relaxes. When it is brought in its original position, the muscle which had earlier contracted is now relaxing. You can see the color changing. So now the muscle which is in front is relaxing, while the muscle at the back is becoming green. That is now contracting, and the leg moves in that direction. I hope children it must be clear to you. Now you can understand this through the movement of arm also. Now look at the flexion in arms. When we try to bend our arm from the elbow, the bicep muscles contracts. It is shown here. The triceps are not shown. At a time only one muscle is shown so that you can understand it better. So when you bend your arm from the elbow, the bicep muscles contracts. When they contract, they become shorter, stiffer and thicker and pulls the bone. Okay, here you cannot see the tricep muscles. You can only see the bicep muscles working and the bending of elbow. At this time, the triceps are relaxed. Now when we want to bring our arm back to the earlier position, the triceps muscles contract. That is the muscles which are present at the back side. They are contracting. So they are becoming shorter and the bone is pulled back. Here you can see only the triceps contracting. At the same time, the muscles in front, that is biceps, they relax. And the arm is brought back at the earlier position. So children, I tried to explain to you the working of muscles in pairs. I hope it must be clear to you through these images.